In this week's episode of Working with Evernote, it's how to export your notes to another application. Hello and welcome to another episode of Working with Evernote. My name is Carl Pauline, and in this week's episode I'm going to show you how to export your notes to another application, because there's been a lot of talk in the media recently about the demise of Evernote. Yet another story all about the demise of Evernote. And these stories, to be perfectly honest with you, have been around for years and years. Personally, I don't think Evernote's going anywhere. If anything, hopefully it's going to get even more simpler than I think it already is. And it's just good for everybody who uses Evernote. But if you feel unsure of Evernote's future, then there is a couple of things that you can do that will enable you to export your notes to another application such as Apple Notes or Microsoft's OneNote. And in this episode I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, the one thing I should point out here is that when you're doing this, I strongly recommend that you go for doing this notebook by notebook. Don't try and export all your notes at once unless you have a very small database of notes. But if, like me, you've got thousands of notes in your Evernote note database, then you really do not want to be exporting all your notes in one big lump sum. That's just going to cause you so much time and effort in order to actually get things organized. What you need to be doing is exporting it notebook for notebook. That way you can bring in your notes and you can name it and tag them, whatever you want to do, individually by notebooks. It will save you a lot of time later. Okay, let's get into Evernote. But before I do that, I would just like to say, if you like this episode, please click on that like button below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please subscribe. Okay, let's go into Evernote and I'll show you how to export your notes. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two ways of doing it. These are probably the two most popular ways. The first is how to export your notes to Apple Notes, and the second is how to export your notes to Microsoft OneNote. Now, there are many other note applications out there, and I would guess that this system, the way of doing this, is probably the same in all cases. So what you first want to do is to go into your Evernote notebook area, which you can get to from here. And you can actually change this, by the way. You can pull it out. If you pull the sidebar out there, you can actually see all your various with the names out there. But if you drag that in like this, you just get the icons. Just thought I would show you that. Completely nothing to do with exporting your notes. But anyway, let's move into this. Now, the thing is, I've got, if I actually look at how many notes I've got, I believe I've got, this doesn't show me, but I do have a lot of notes. And I think I have around about 3,000 notes. So if I tried to export all of these at once, it would take forever. So what I would recommend, and I strongly recommend this because there's always problems with maybe importing notes, which could be a problem. So it's far better to do this notebook by notebook. Now, yes, that means it's going to take a lot longer, but at least then you're not going to lose the formatting with the notebooks that you have. So the way that you do this is, let's just select, and I'm going to select my Korean notebook and make sure it is selected, and then you right click on it or control click and it'll say export notes from Korean. So you click on that and you're going to get this option. Now what you're looking for is this formatting, Evernote XML, which is ENEX. That's the format you want to do. You can change this as to the name of the notebook. So I'm going to put that as Korean, and I'm going to save that to my desktop. Now you would do this for all of your notes, and the reason why I'm choosing this is because it's much quicker. So you would normally do this with all of your notes. So let's go to my desktop, and you'll see now that over here I have my Korean ENEX file. And if I open up my Apple, so I'm going to put notes. So I'm going to open up Apple Notes, and this is going to give me my Apple Notes. As you can see, I do play around with this sometimes. So what we're going to do here is I'm going to click on File, and it says Import to Notes. So we click on Import to Notes, and you'll see that I have this file so these Keynote files here are actually grayed out. I couldn't import those, but I can import that. So I'm going to import that. Now what's going to happen is these files will be added to an imported notes folder. They may look different in notes. So let's just import. So I'm importing the 19 notes. So you've got here, I actually have one that I did earlier, which I've deleted. So I'm just going to delete this. Okay, so as you can see now, all those notes have actually come in. Now what really impresses me is that when they do come into Apple Notes, the formatting has stayed the same. So the only thing that's changed, like here, is bolded. You can't really see that here, but if I increase the size of this note, if I increase the size of the note, we have to do that in my preferences. So go into preferences and default text size. Let's see if we can go, yep. So you might be able to see it better now. So the bolding has actually stayed in, and that's really, really, really good to me. And all the images that I had in there, they've come in, and all this stuff has come in, which to me is really, really cool. So it's actually getting better. I tried this a couple of years ago and it was awful. Now at least the formatting is coming through, the headers are in the right place, and that's to me a really, really good system. So if you're thinking of moving away from Evernote to Apple Notes, the easiest way to do it, and all you can do then is you can go in there, and I can change that to Korean and I have the notebook copied over from Evernote. Okay, now when it comes to OneNote, things are a little bit different. It's a little less easy. First of all, you're going to need to go to the OneNote site, and you're going to have to get making the move from Evernote to OneNote. You're going to have to download the importer. Now this is both for Windows PC and for Macs. You need to download the importer. So when you downloaded the importer, you can actually open up the importer. And I find that OneNote, by the way, on Macs is incredibly slow. So I'm going to accept the terms and conditions and get started. Now, what it's going to say is it looks like your version of Evernote was installed from the Mac App Store. In order for us to find your notes, please uninstall the App Store version and install Evernote for Mac from the Evernote website. Sign in, sync your notes, and run the importer. Now, that's one way of doing it, and I wouldn't necessarily trust OneNote to do it in one big lump sum. And I've read a lot of reports out there that it takes hours to do it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this a little bit differently. I'm going to take this file here, the ENEX file. I'm going to choose that from my desktop from here, and as you can see, again, I can include it. So I'm going to open that, and I'm going to continue, and it's going to ask me to sign in probably, which yeah, well, anyway, and basically it will then import your notes. I'm not going to go through all that importing stuff for you because I'm not really that familiar with Microsoft OneNote, but essentially that's how you would import. For those of you using OneNote, that's how you would do it. So hopefully that will give you a pretty good idea of how to import your notes. But as I said in the beginning, I really don't think Evernote is going anywhere. There's been some changes, of course, but companies are always changing. If you think back to Apple 10 years ago, it is very different to what Apple is today. All companies change from time to time, and everyone's making a big song and dance about what's going on at Evernote. But as I said, I really don't think Evernote are going anywhere. Hopefully they're going to maintain their simplicity and it will stay where it is. And I, for one, have no intention of moving my notes permanently to another note-taking application. Thank you very much for watching this episode. I hope you found it useful. It just remains for me now to wish you all a very, very productive week. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw and would like to learn more about becoming better organized and more productive, then get yourself enrolled in my free beginner's guide to building your own productivity system. And if you'd like to learn more on how I can help you, then visit my website at www.carlpauline.com. All the details are in the show notes below.